Welcome, dear friends, to a special journey through one of the most iconic engineering marvels of the 20th century, the Concorde. With its unmistakable silhouette, supersonic speed, and aura of luxury, Concorde wasn't just a plane, it was a symbol of innovation, ambition, and the future of air travel. In this program, we explore the legacy of Concorde through the lens of historic documentary filmmaking. How did this incredible aircraft come to life? What made it so revolutionary, and why did its time in the skies come to an end? Through stunning archival footage, expert commentary, and behind-the-scenes stories from pilots, engineers, and passengers, we'll uncover the full story of this technological masterpiece. We'll also take a closer look at how Concorde is recreated in documentary films today, how props, sets, and digital effects help bring the legend back to life for modern audiences. This is a time stream, and our supersonic journey into history begins now.
Hello there, everybody. My name is Marcus Sammet, and I'm 69 years old. I've been retired at the age of 65 as a pilot. The most prominent airlines that I flew as a pilot and I was captain with, they were Air Europe in UK, Singapore Airlines, and then Emirates Airlines. I've flown more or less all type of commercial airplanes, all the Boeings, including 720, which is one of the oldest version of the 707s, and at the same time the newest ones that they were basically Airbus A380. In general, I've flown all of them, A380, 777, 747-400, and 707, 727, 737, Airbus A310 and A330, A340, 300, 500, basically all of them. And I've got about almost 43 years experience in this business. As I started very early to become a pilot, my starting point was Iran, and at the same time I've got something like about 28,000 hours flying time experience, flying all over the world except South America, that I've been just flying to the Sao Paulo. Otherwise, all over Europe, all over Asia, and Australia, New Zealand, all these places that I've been flying to. So that's been basically my general experience in this business. I said before, I've flown all different types of Boeings and then Airbuses. I never flew Concorde, but once I had the chance to basically have a look at the cockpit and at the same time the engine side of the Concorde. Once I went to the British Airways hangar to pick up an airplane for Air Europe, and we were delayed, so they gave me a tour of Concorde basically. And as you can imagine, this airplane flies extremely fast and has got a nose that usually it's on the sort of like lower angle, and once the speed builds up, it becomes it comes up and it becomes very sharp, so that it be able to comply with the speed of sound. And the main feature that I noticed in the Concorde cockpit, as I'm basically telling you from the point of pilot, is that there were so many dials that was just like sort of museum of all the different dials, and as you remember in the different old cars. You remember the dials that they were hanged from the dashboard, you know. The same thing was happening in Concorde, but I was very surprised that they were just hanging all over the place, and the flight engineer's panel was absolutely covered with different dials. So that was the main thing that I noticed was totally different from what I was seeing there to the new type of airplanes that I was flying, that was very, very sophisticated. Obviously, this airplane was made so to fly as fast as possible to do the transatlantic, and because of that, obviously it was very expensive to fly on, and all the celebrities, the footballers, and you name it, politicians, they were able to fly on this airplane to go from to do that transatlantic, because that is the only area mainly that you can fly supersonic, and there is no restriction, and they can fly a very, very high altitude, because obviously in order to be able, you know, to operate to fly that airplane really fast, you have got to fly at a very high altitude that is not going to be affected by wind, because mostly with the normal commercial airplanes, the maximum flying altitude is, even though it's 43,000 feet, usually everybody is sticking up to 41,000 feet, and to use the sort of the maximum tailwind to fly in one direction, or to basically minimize the sort of headwind that you have got, so that, you know, the distance you're traveling on the ground is going to be sort of at the most economical condition to fly from A to B, and to reduce the flight time, and to basically reduce the usage of the fuel, which is the most expensive part of this business that the airlines are always concerned about. That's why, you know, once you are flying, you know, at a very high altitude, at the sort of like 50,000 or so, there is no weather condition up there, and as a result, the Concorde basically is flying at the proper speed, which is this to sort of go according to the speed of sound, you know, without the effect of the headwind, tailwind, or anything like that, you know, because there's no weather condition up there. At the same time, they don't have to deviate to the left, to the right, or anything like that, you know. So that was the main thing that I noticed regarding the Concorde. And of course, the cockpit is very small, and the passenger area where they are sitting, you know, they were basically, from what I remember, I think there were one seat on the left, one seat on the right, because the fuselage is very narrow, small, to comply with the speed of sound, you know, to have the most efficiency of this speed of sound, you know. And that's why the fuselage is narrow and a little bit long, and the wings are quite sort of has got a sort of like a trident, and at the same time, you know, like it's got a delta shape, you know, in order to improve the efficiency of the speed of the airplane, you know. And the other thing that I noticed, it was that regarding the engine of the Concorde, of course, I've got 4 engines, and all the equipments that it's used, all the accessory equipments that, like electric pump or hydraulic pump, everything that used in this sort of airplane that is mounted on the engine, it was very fascinating that, you know, all the other airplanes, because they have got space around the engine, inside the engine, they're round, but these, they had to be really square, and then to have a special facility that basically to be able, you know, to screw in to attach to the whatever pipes that were available for that particular thing. So everything had to be basically square and flat, so that to be fitted into that engine. Because if you have a look at the engine of the Concorde, it is all square, it is not round like any other airplanes, you know. That is the case. And then the other thing that I was told, because this airplane is always flying at the maximum speed, like 95%, almost 95 to 99% of the speed that the airplane is able to fly. Obviously, there is a lot of wear and tear on this airplane, and at the same time on the engine equipment and whatever is associated with really to create that speed. So because of that, I was told that whenever the airplane basically flies almost like 2 sectors, they have got to change a lot of components, you know, to be able to keep it really airworthy and exactly up to standard which is required for that airplane to fly. So that has been the experience that I had on this airplane, and I never flew it, but that was just fascinating enough to be in that environment to find out about all these specific things about Concorde. I hope it has been beneficial, you know, and I cannot tell you any more the information about this airplane because I never flew it, you know, except like you guys. And as you have noticed at the same time, you know, when it was taking off, the noise was really horrendous. And somehow they would have got to use the afterburners, you know, to be able, you know, to climb as quickly as possible, to get to the high altitude as quickly as possible, and then the engine was reduced a little bit so that, you know, to be able to sort of fly that speed of sound, you know. That is why this airplane was able to make a flight from London to New York and back in about 3 hours or so. This is what I believe it was, which was really ideal for these celebrities and politicians, you know. And for the normal airplane, it could take, going there because of the headwind is about like 8 hours to New York. Coming back, it could be down to 5.5. I have done it myself because of the tailwind that the jet airplanes, they try, you know, to pick up. And sometimes, you know, going there, it was not possible because of the so many flights going in that direction. So that's why, you know, the altitude are restricted, and you have got to accept whatever they give you, even though you do your best to get the most economical level. And so that's why the burn off and the flight time is going to be a lot higher going in that direction to New York. Coming back is going to be a lot less. You know, that is the only difference I can tell you about these commercial airplanes with the Concorde. You know. Thank you. I hope this information has been useful for you.
The Concorde came to life at the height of the Cold War, born from a rare partnership between Britain and France. Driven by a shared vision of progress and technological supremacy, engineers from both nations embarked on a mission in the 1960s to create the world's first supersonic passenger aircraft. This was not just about building a faster plane, it was about shaping the future of travel. After years of research, political negotiations, and engineering breakthroughs, the Concorde made its first flight in 1969. It was a moment of triumph that symbolized the power of international cooperation and innovation. What made Concorde so revolutionary was its unmatched speed, elegance, and engineering sophistication. The aircraft could fly at Mach 2, twice the speed of sound, cutting transatlantic flight times from London to New York to just under 3.5 hours. Its sleek, delta-wing design, droop nose for landing visibility, and Rolls-Royce Snecma Olympus 593 turbojet engines were marvels of design and performance. Flying aboard Concorde wasn't just about getting somewhere quickly, it was an experience of luxury, exclusivity, and technological wonder. It flew higher than any other commercial airliner, cruising at 60,000 feet, where passengers could see the curvature of the Earth and the darkness of space beyond the sky. Through archival footage, we witness Concorde's debut to the world, its first commercial flight in 1976, and its role in redefining luxury air travel. The aircraft was not just a feat of engineering, but a cultural symbol. It was the choice of royalty, celebrities, and global leaders. It captured the public imagination and stood as a beacon of what the future could look like. Yet, despite its many achievements, Concorde's time in the skies came to a premature end. A combination of economic, environmental, and political challenges made its long-term sustainability difficult. The aircraft was expensive to operate and maintain. It consumed far more fuel than subsonic jets, making it costly for airlines and less attractive during periods of high oil prices. Its limited seating capacity meant only the wealthy could afford a ticket, restricting its appeal. Public opinion also began to shift. Noise pollution from sonic booms led to the banning of supersonic overland flights in many countries. Environmental concerns about emissions and inefficiency grew louder. And in 2000, tragedy struck when Air France Flight 4590 crashed shortly after takeoff, killing all on board. Though the aircraft returned to service after safety upgrades, confidence had been shaken. Concorde made its final commercial flight in 2003, marking the end of an era. Through the voices of pilots who pushed its limits, engineers who sustained its brilliance, and passengers who lived its legacy, this program uncovers the full story of Concorde. It was a technological masterpiece, bold, beautiful, and ahead of its time. Though its time in the skies has ended, its story continues to inspire, reminding us of what is possible when imagination meets engineering. Before Concorde's flight trials, developments in the civil aviation industry were largely accepted by governments and their respective electorates. Opposition to Concorde's noise, particularly on the east coast of the United States, forged a new political agenda on both sides of the Atlantic, with scientists and technology experts across a multitude of industries beginning to take the environmental and social impact more seriously. Although Concorde led directly to the introduction of a general noise abatement program for aircraft flying out of John Kennedy Airport, many found that Concorde was quieter than expected, partly due to the pilots temporarily throttling back their engines to reduce noise during overflight of residential areas. Even before commercial flights started, it had been claimed that Concorde was quieter than many other aircraft. Concorde produced nitrogen oxides in its exhaust, which, despite complicated interactions with other ozone-depleting chemicals, are understood to result in degradation to the ozone layer at the stratospheric altitudes it cruised. It has been pointed out that other, lower-flying, airliners produce ozone during their flights in the troposphere, but vertical transit of gases between the layers is restricted. The small fleet meant overall ozone layer degradation caused by Concorde was negligible. In 1995, David Fahey, of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration in the United States, warned that a fleet of 500 supersonic aircraft with exhausts similar to Concorde's technical leap forward boosted the public's understanding of conflicts between technology and the environment, as well as awareness of the complex decision analysis processes that surround such conflicts. Concorde was normally perceived as a privilege of the rich, but special circular or one-way moderately well-off enthusiasts.
As we conclude our exploration of the legendary Concorde, we are reminded of its enduring impact on aviation and the human imagination. More than just a supersonic aircraft, Concorde was a symbol of technological ambition, elegance, and a future that once seemed within reach. Thanks to historic documentary films, the Concorde's story continues to inspire new generations, preserved through powerful visuals, detailed reconstructions, and personal memories. Though it no longer flies, its legacy soars on. Thank you for joining us on this unforgettable journey through time and innovation. This is a time stream. See you next time.